Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of our Las Vegas Athletics franchise here on MLB The Show 23. And you might have already noticed that the dialogue that you're hearing does not match the face cam up in the upper right corner. And that is because when I originally recorded this episode, I did provide live commentary with the face cam and everything, but OBS went through an update and it actually changed the device that it was counting as my microphone. For some reason that I do not know, it was using my headset, which does not have a microphone. It can have a microphone, but I don't use the microphone on it. So while I was providing all this excellent, of course, commentary in real time, and none of it was actually passing through into OBS, which is obviously frustrating, but I apologize for, you know, the desync between the dialogue that you're going to hear and what you're going to see in the top right corner, but blame OBS for switching my device that was capturing my audio. I don't know why they would change that automatically. Also, I guess blame me for not recognizing it, though I don't blame myself for not assuming that the game would change my audio input. But anyway, one thing of note before we get into the gameplay of this episode is I did up the difficulty. I felt like in the games in this season, we've been scoring at or above double digits pretty much consistently. We've been blowing people out. And I just feel like it makes for more engaging franchise gameplay when that's not happening all the time. And I did test this out in this game that I have highlighted here. This Detroit wins 6-2. I tried Hall of Fame gameplay then, and I mean, we won 6-2. I felt like the game was good. It was still obviously a win, but Detroit is quite a bit worse than us, so I wasn't super mad at it. So let's go ahead and hop into this game now. This will be a Ken Waldichuk start, and he'll start the game with a fly out to center to Lawrence Butler. Isaiah, I didn't even get time to read his last name. It is quite a complicated one, but he'd get a strikeout here on Nathaniel Lowe, the first two outs of the top of the first acquired, easily bringing up Corey Seager. But Corey Seager is quite a tough batter to face, and he's going to get this one well out to center field. Lawrence Butler tracked it down, but not before it hits against the wall. So a two-out double here for Seager, and now Texas with an opportunity to score here top of the first. Tyler Stevenson also gets a good hold of this ball, but goes right to Boyce McDermott, so it will hold Seager at third. Now runners in the corners. Bring up Marcus Semien. He has been a problem for us in the past in this series, but we'll get him swinging there on the circle change. Waldichuk able to get out of the first, allows a couple of hits, but no one crosses home, which at the end of the day is the goal of baseball. So a pretty good inning. And I wanted to play this game for one reason. We would get to face Jacob DeGrom, who we faced in Season 1, and that was the last episode that I used Hall of Fame, because this man made me quit Hall of Fame and go down to All-Star single-handedly, the way that we were unable to hit against him. Now in Season 4, I wanted to give him another shot on Hall of Fame to see if I've actually gotten any better at the game. But Bobby Witt would fall behind 0-2 in the first at-bat against him, and much like it was the first time we faced DeGrom on Hall of Fame, strikeouts were galore in that game, and we're going to start with 2 here at the top of our order, even with a much better lineup of hitters. So DeGrom on Hall of Fame, very difficult for me to handle. Vladimir Guerrero would ground out here, but hey, at least we didn't strike out the side to top off the first. But DeGrom, even in his old age, still a very tough guy to hit against. Cody Bellinger would try to bunt his way to first, which, I don't know, if you're not advancing a guy to scoring position or to third, I just feel like bunting is such a cheap move. Well, that's just me, and so I'm glad we were able to get him out there. Adolis Garcia would line straight to our boy Luis Urias at third after that. And then Urias gets another opportunity to make a defensive play, makes the throw across the diamond, able to handle that chopper straight to him. So the Rangers would go down quietly in the second. Still a 0-0 ball game as Franmil Reyes up to the plate. 2-0 pitch upcoming, and he crushes this circle change right over the middle, deep to left center, and gone, no doubt about it. Franmil Reyes breaks the tie. And one thing about pitchers who throw really hard, if you can time up these pitches, you tend to go yard, and we do that here. Franmil Reyes had a terrible start to the season, but he's slowly been turning it around as his power is starting to show more and more as the season progresses. And I was considering maybe even demoting him at the beginning of this episode and bringing up Eduardo Silva, who is hitting about 265, has a lot of power, but if Franmil Reyes can show that power himself, he's going to stick here in the majors, nearly 450 feet on that one. Arias would go down looking at that 100-mile-an-hour low and inside, but called for a strike. It was a borderline call. Didn't go our way. And yeah, DeGrom, except for that one home run allowed, has been absolutely tearing through our lineup, and he'll continue to do so here. 4 strikeouts. As you can see my frustration there at the top of the right. In the first 2 innings, it is very hard to hit this guy. And I know I've already said that, but I'm probably not going to be done saying it either, as Dustin Harris will pop out here. Nice effort play by Luis Arias. He's getting a lot of action here early on the defensive side of the game. And Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, I don't know if that's actually how you say it. That's just my guess. But he's able to get on base here with 1 out with the single as the order flips over for the Rangers, bringing up Nathaniel Lowe. 1-2 pitch. He will swing on the circle change. That's been the best strikeout pitch for Kenny Dubs so far in this game, as he's had a pretty strong start. I thought, pitching with one of the pitchers that wasn't our, top 3 and going up to Hall of Fame, we were probably going to see a pretty bad pitched game, but through 3 innings, still is not allowed a run. Has allowed the 3 hits, but none of them getting across the plate. You got to be happy with that, as us striking out against DeGrom. That theme is going to continue on here to start the bottom of the 3rd with Boyce McDermott. Bringing up Lawrence Butler. He's going to draw a walk here on the full count pitch, well upstairs from DeGrom. Didn't even really give me much of a challenge on that full count pitch. And Bobby Witt's going to lift this circle change left high. It was inside and not a terribly placed pitch, but Bobby Witt Jr. going to get himself a double here with just 1 out. Lawrence Butler would hold up at 3rd, so it's up to Ian Happ to bring him home. 4-seam fastball is lifted to left. It will be caught, but that is definitely taggable territory. Didn't want to tag Bobby Witt, but Lawrence Butler would bring across the 2nd Las Vegas run there, and the sacrifice fly would give Ian Happ an RBI. Vladimir Guerrero unable to extend the inning, though, with the ground out over to short. But regardless, 2 hits, 2 runs, that's the kind of production that I'll take, and that's, I think I said the exact same thing with my live commentary here. But top of the 4th, Luis Arias, throw on the move is in time. Semien is out. He's been given a lot of action here at 3rd base, and he's been doing really well with it. I've liked the effort that he's shown in today's episode. 3-1, and that would be the first walk allowed by Kenny Waldichuk here. But 1-2 getting ahead of Adolis Garcia. He's going to chop this one to short. The force out at 2nd will end the 4th. Now 4 scoreless innings. Waldichuk having himself quite a nice performance here in the Hall of Fame difficulty. Curveball low is going to get Franmil Reyes down swinging. So a home run and a strikeout for Reyes. That seems about right for what he is. Luis Arias also going to go down swinging on the curveball. This one was in the zone. I was just out ahead of it. And then a curveball again. This time we timed it up better than we did the first 2, but still not enough to get a hit. So curveballs on all 3 batters is what's going to end the inning for DeGrom. And we'll go down quietly. 3-1 now against Dustin Harris. That one's going to be just below the zone for another walk allowed. The 2nd of the afternoon for Waldichuk. Harris is also going to try to swipe a bag at 2nd, and the play was close, but it will be a steal for Harris, his 2nd of the season. Nathaniel Lowe is going to get a ton of this one deep to left center field. It will hop off the wall and bring home the first Texas Ranger run. Our lead cuts in half with the RBI double from Nathaniel Lowe. His 6th double of the season. Full count pitch for Seager. He proved to be a worthy opponent. Drew that at bat out quite a bit, but we get the out regardless. And so the Rangers will have just the 1 run across on the inning. And that curveball well below the zone gets Soderstrom swinging. And you could see my frustration there on the upper right with facing this guy. And my goal for the 5th inning was to try to bring DeGrom's pitch count up. I did a terrible job of it, but he was getting kind of tired, and I think if had I had a better 5th, we might have not had him out for the 6th inning, but he's definitely going to get a 6th after he retired us pretty quickly on that inning. Cody Bellinger would be lined out to Boyce McDermott to end the 6th, though, so Kenny Waldichuk, 6 very strong innings, but where his stamina was at would spell the end of the day for him, as the top of our order is up to face DeGrom for a 3rd time. Full count for Bobby Witt. That one is right over the head of DeGrom. That was the kind of at-bat where we were extending the pitch count for DeGrom, and then we end up getting on base. A perfect A+ for me from Bobby Witt. We really want to get DeGrom out of here so I can face some guys I can maybe have some more success against. And then Ian Happ's going to get this over the head of the 3rd baseman. And that's going to bring home Bobby Witt with all of that speed. The throw is made, but not nearly enough in time. Bobby Witt not even needing to slide there. So an RBI double from Ian Happ would bring across a 3rd Las Vegas Athletics. I almost call this the Aces. But that would also spell the end of the day for Jacob DeGrom. So we did get into the 6th, but not very far into it. There, the first 2 batters at the top of our lineup did their jobs quite well. And so I would bring up Franmil Reyes. He gets a very hittable pitch. Even got some good timing on it, but with Hall of Fame difficulty, you're going to see a lot more of these good timing outs. And then Luis Arias, a nicely hit ball past 3rd, but the diving play is going to be enough to get him out. He's frustrated. He just doesn't have enough speed. And we're in danger of getting the first game of this series where we don't get a hit with Luis Arias. We've been really strong with him up to this point, but not looking good here in this one. Adolis Garcia is going to fly out to Lawrence Butler. That one took a ton of time to get down, as Luis Medina would come into the game in the 7th for us. 2 outs here going against Dustin Harris, and that's going to be a diving play by Gleyber Torres, but he can't field it cleanly, so Harris will reach base, and he's been maybe the best player for the Rangers so far and hitting in that 9th spot. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa has also been doing well, as this time he's going to go yard and tie this game up at 3 apiece. 384 feet, and that's going to make this game all knotted up at 3. Luis Medina, this should also spell the end of the day for him, as I didn't show all of them, but he was missing over the middle of the plate a ton, and I just wanted to cut off the damage while we still could. So Kyle Muller would come to the game, and I thought for sure that was going to be the 3rd out of the inning, but even with the strong armor Bobby Witt, took too long to gather himself, and Corey Seager, very talented batter, is going to keep the inning alive. So we can't get this 3rd out here in the 7th. What does the man got to do to get out of this inning? Muller, 0-1 pitch for Tyler Stevenson. That one's also going to get through the infield and keep this inning alive. Ian Happ, the throw to home is on time, and that's going to be a tag out there. You'll love to see the defensive highlights. A play so nice, you gotta see it twice, as Happ fields it cleanly with an accurate throw to home, gets Nathaniel Lowe, and the score will remain even. Thought for sure we were giving up the lead on that play. Nice to see Ian Happ make the defensive highlight along with the offensive stuff that he's shown. He's batted across 2 of our 3 runs, so he's got to be the MVP of the game thus far. As Tyler Soderstrom's gonna get a ton of this one, deep to right field, back and gone. Man, I remember saying this in my live commentary, but the no doubt home run animation Just the sound of the bat, the switch to the close-up. It's just probably one of the most satisfying animations in all of sports gaming. I love to see it. Soderstrom also rebounding from a kind of a lukewarm to bad start of the year. His average continues to climb here, and he continues to show why he should be considered a long-term piece of this franchise. Boyce McDermott up next here. 0-1 pitch is going to find the gap, and so he'll get a one-out single here. And he's got a lot of speed, so a base hit, if it's good enough, could even score Boyce McDermott. He's going to try to steal second here. And the bang bang play, he is tagged out. A perfect throw from Tyler Stevenson. He is one of the better catchers in the MLB. Shows it right here. I mean, just missed. That throw had to be right on target, and it was. Lawrence Butler would chop this straight to Semien to end the 7th for the Athletics. But Tyler Soderstrom gives us our lead back here with that solo shot. Still have 3 less hits than the Rangers, but all that matters is that we lead them by 1. Muller here would try to get through the 8th, get us into a save opportunity as he has a nice strikeout top of the zone to get out Marcus Semien. And that's going to be the start we wanted. We had a chance to really be able to finish this game with the bottom of the order with the Rangers, but this single here from Cody Bellinger is going to pretty much retire those dreams, as now the top of the order is going to have a decent chance. We would have had to face the one-hitter regardless, but that hit by Bellinger is going to make it. At least we'll have to face the top 2 in the 9th. But a strikeout there from Kyle Muller would end the inning. Rangers now double digits in hits. But can we extend this lead and give Zach Jackson a better save opportunity here? Going to start well with Bobby Witt. He's probably, along with Ian Happ, been our best offensive player. 3rd time in this game he's reached base. Vladimir Guerrero up. This has been not a great game from him, and it's going to get even worse here as he's going to ground into a double play to end the 8th. Easily his worst performance of an episode, at least, of his Las Vegas Athletics career. Would love to see a hitter like that extend the lead, not basically end the inning, but that's going to bring up Zach Jackson. He's 14 of 15 for save opportunities this year. 0.63 ERA, strikeouts to walks look really good. 143 against righties, 150 against lefties. All these are looking really, really nice. Just need to continue his hot start here. But he's not going to do it against Dustin Harris, of all people, man. Their 9th hitter has been their best player today. We just can't stop this guy. Who is Dustin Harris, and why is he absolutely obliterating us in this ballgame? Isaiah Kiner-Falefa here is going to ground out to Gleyber Torres, but that advances Harris. So we really need a pop-out or a strikeout here against Nathaniel Lowe. First pitch in. He's not going to do either, as this one's hit a ton out to left center field. It's going to be an extra base hit, and it's going to be a blown save from Zach Jackson, excuse me, as I'm fumbling my words. Dustin Harris is the bane of this episode's existence. As with the base open, we kind of pitch around Corey Seager there, allowing him to walk, and they'll bring in Luis Angel Acuna. Full count here. Was not pitching around Tyler Stevenson, but he will walk regardless. Zach Jackson not having the best day, so I'd bring in Domingo Acevedo, hoping to not give up the lead here against Marcus Semien. 1-0 pitch is hit towards Vladimir Guerrero. He can't field it cleanly, though, and Texas is going to score. I thought he had that one. It was going to be a tough play to make regardless, but the reigning Gold Glover at first base was really hoping he could make that play. Rangers now hold the lead. 2 outs now. 2-2 pitch coming up for Cody Bellinger. This one is hit into right field, back near the warning track, but it will be caught. But still, we have a 1-run deficit now to overcome in this game. Something that I wasn't planning on dealing with, as Franmil Reyes is going to strike out there. Not the best start to the 9th when we need to make up this run. And then we're going to strike out again. You can start to see the frustration building as I'm selling this game. And that was the worst of it. There, a pitch right down the middle, but I was too late. You can tell how angry I was in live time. I'm still angry. And then the 2-2 pitch for Glaber. 0 for 3 today. He's late on a hittable fastball again. And that's going to lose us the game. I absolutely sold this game against the Texas Rangers. And, man, I really thought we had this win in the bag, but we will blow it in the end. I mean, we did only have half the hits that the Rangers had, so it's not surprising we end up losing, but, man, we had a real chance to squeak this one through, and we just couldn't finish the job. And while it didn't go our way, I am happy with, having a game that was a lot less predictable than when we were playing on All-Star. Obviously a lot less easy to get hits, especially upping the difficulty with going against Jacob DeGrom. Yeah, that's going to make getting hits harder. I would end up simulating through May here, and we'd lose this first series against the Rangers, but we would avoid the sweep. Then we would go on a little bit of a win streak here, an 8-game win streak, sweeping the Cardinals and the Rangers in the revenge tour. We would win that first game against the Cleveland for our 8th straight win, but we'd end up losing the series. We'd end the month of May here with a 4-game sweep of the Seattle Mariners. Puts us to 39-20 and gives us a commanding lead on the top of the division, as the Angels didn't have a great end of the month. It looks like they're starting to play a little bit more like their ratings suggest they should. They had an absolutely incredible start to the season, but they're slowly dropping down. And I want to give a little bit of a preview of what I've scouted so far in the draft. I've yet to do my big board, as I'm going to do so after this episode. So by next episode, I'll have my big board for this year up and running. But Boris Hines is going to be the number 1 player on that board. One of the needs that's going to be on that big board when I drop it is going to be a center fielder. As I just don't think Lawrence Butler, we've seen enough, and I don't think he's the guy. And so a guy with speed and fielding ability is absolutely going to be on my needs list for this franchise. I'd love to be able to get that. And Boris Hines, switch hitter. We don't have a lot of those in the franchise. Contact hitting, fielding, some athleticism with the speed and stealing as well. He's ranked 17th on the big board. We picked 16th in this class, and so it's really going to be a 50-50 shot of whether or not he's there. But we've got the interest up a decent bit, and he is honestly far and away my number 1 target. Of the players that I've scouted at this point, there's always room for me to find someone else, as I'm just now starting to use my Discovery Scout on position players. Thus far, I've been discovering solely pitchers. Edmundo Benitez is the guy who looks to be underrated according to our scouts. He throws for absolute gas. He has a 5-pitch mix, but it's 4-seam, 2-seam, and sinker, which just feels like a little bit too much of the same thing. Slider changeup in addition to that, but really only 1 pitch with any kind of horizontal break on it. So if we were to draft him, I might change the 2-seam to something else, just because what's the point of having 3 basically fastballs with 2 fastballs and a sinker? We'll see about that. Another pitcher that my scouts like, and I tend to agree here, is Greg Velasquez. I like this 4-pitch mix. Curveball, slurve, changeup to go along with the fastball. His stamina is going to be in an excellent spot. We don't have a lot of pitchers with good stamina. The best one is Darren Gilbert, who we just traded for in last offseason. And then another position player that I like is Howard Whalen. I remember him from a previous class, which is why I wanted to click on him. Because he's a little bit older, we have these ranges really good. And despite the fact that our catcher is pretty deep with Alex Onquist and Tyler Soderstrom, neither of those guys are actually really good defensive catchers. And while Howard Whalen certainly doesn't have a great arm, that would be something that we would need to train should we draft him. In terms of fielding, he's already going to have upper 70s fielding and mid 70s reaction. That's going to be really good. And then he's also a good contact hitter right off the bat as well. And unlike in our other franchise, the draft-only franchise, We need contact more than we need power. So glad to see that kind of the needs of these two franchises are very different. But I'd go back and highlight Boris Signs in real time once again because, yeah, he is far and away the guy I'm hoping for. I have a feeling he's going to be drafted like somewhere in the early teens. He's going to be drafted like 12th or 13th right ahead of us, and it's going to be really sad. But golly, man, if we could draft this guy, our position player lineup would be pretty great. And then the last thing I wanted to do here is just kind of check in on some guys here. Again, I was thinking about bringing up Eduardo Silva, but he's kind of on a cold streak now to end the month of May, so I think we'll keep him down, at least get him through the cold streak, but I do imagine that he'll be up at some point. Another reason I'm not bringing him up is Lawrence Butler has actually started to play better. He was hitting it in the low 200s, now getting up more towards the mid 200s now at 241. Got his first home run of the year as well. I still see Eduardo Silva taking over a spot at some point in this season. If that were to be the case, Boyce McDermott would play center field just because he's faster and has better fielding than Silva. But, yeah, I think at some point Silva's going to replace Butler in our outfield in this season. And just kind of taking a look at everybody else. Bobby Witt's down to 290. He's been hitting at 300 for most of the year. He's tied now with Guerrero for 14 home runs, who's still heading above 300. Guerrero's been excellent, as has Freddie Peralta, somebody we traded for in the offseason. Flaherty also doing well, and on a hot streak. All three of our best pitchers are on a hot streak. Trevor Rogers had a pretty bad start, but he's got his ERA down to 4.13, and his strikeouts are in a really good spot as well. He had that 12 strikeout first game, which definitely helped him. Boyce McDermott was injured for part of the year, so his total numbers don't look as impressive as some of the other guys, as Zach Jackson also has started to have his numbers come up. That last game that we played certainly contributed to that. Ian Happ only hitting 264, but has 10 home runs. Torres and Arias both over 300 and on hot streaks. And then Framber Reyes has absolutely turned his season around. He's up to 12 home runs and 252 average. Was thinking about demoting him instead of Lawrence Butler when we brought up Silva and having just Silva DH, but Reyes has absolutely started to become the guy that we want him to be in that DH spot, showing a lot of power. Soderstrom now up to 278 with 9 home runs. And so offensively, we're doing as good as we have throughout the entirety of the season. Our pitching is starting to heat up as well, and that's why we're starting to win a lot of ball games. In terms of prospects, Gilbert's having a solid year, as is Merrill Mitchie. And then Santiago Rodriguez as well. His whip's a little bit high, but he has a terrible walks per 9 rating, so it's not super surprising. But our best pitching prospects are doing well, except for maybe here Gilberto Velasquez, who has blown 3 saves to only 5 saves that he has gotten. So not a great start for him, but he's got time as Zach Jackson is the closer of the short term for us. Alex Angeles hitting 361 with 8 homers thus far. And you got to remember that AA starts a little bit later. So the fact that he already has 8 home runs to go along with that 361 average is even more impressive with that later start. So I think this is a guy that might have to come up and play for us sooner rather than later. Maybe we call him up rather than Eduardo Silva. I don't really know. I think both are probably going to be coming up in short order. It's just a matter of where we slot them in. And then other prospects for Robert Poisson. I guess he's actually on the MLB roster, so not much of a prospect anymore, but he's been injured for the majority of this year. Only 32 at-bats. Kohler hitting 315 with 7 home runs. So our 2 best position player prospects, both having excellent years. And then Richard Cano, a guy that we were able to sign as a UDFA because of his terrible durability. Actually, maybe a little bit disappointing, only hitting 260 with both of his contacts in the 70s. But that's not a terrible thing. But I think just if you take where the status is overall of how this team is playing, both at the MLB level, 39-20, in the command of our division, and then a lot of prospects developing well. Everything seems to be going right for us to start Season 4. Don't want to jinx it, but I'm really hopeful for the future. That's all I've got for this episode. I'll be back soon with another, and I will see you then.